New Landing's Job Chat is brought to you in part by the Prosperity Advisory Group, the next step in your financial future, and by the EBS Group with an unparalleled background in Oracle solutions and services.
What happens after dating? Is it a breakup? Is it a marriage? How's that like the job search? You'll find out today on Job Chat. Your hosts are Hector Silva and
Sarah Kane.
And our guest today is Mark Naster.
Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
Mark has over 35 years of experience in dealing with people-related business issues. He has seen all sides of the for-profit world and has worked in a variety of industries and businesses. His extensive experience in staffing has given him tremendous insight into the hiring process, the good, the bad, and definitely the ugly. During the course of his career, he has worked for Ross Perot, Ewing Kaufman, and Lamar Hunt. He is now devoting himself full-time to helping people less fortunate than himself by working with Heartland Habitat for Humanity. Welcome back, Mark.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Mark. After you're dating for a while, you have to start thinking, where is this relationship going? How is that the same for job searcher and an employer?
Well, it really is totally compatible with that. We go through a process of saying, what do I like, what do I need, what do I want? And but we don't do it when we're looking for a job as much. And we go through a series of events, and many of us, it takes us a long time to get that decision made. From the time we start dating, how many dates do you have to go on before you can make that decision? And at what point do you actually say, I want to make a commitment? And it's the same thing in an employment process. However, the time frame is different. If you're desperate and they're desperate, then the time frame may be consolidated. And one of the things I joke about, and it's funny, but yet it's not funny, is we talked in the first session about going to singles bars. There's a great country and western song that is relevant to the whole process of decision making when it comes to deciding where to work or who to hire. And it is, they all look better at closing time. Right? So the employer is desperate. This job has been open for a long time. They need somebody, they need a body. You're a live body. They want you. So at the end of that 1 hour interview, they offer you the job. What do? You need to pay the bills. What do? You don't want to just, this job is not going to last, but what do? They offer you the job. You got to ask yourself, why? Why are they an offer? If it takes me this long to make a decision on how compatible I am with another person, how can somebody evaluate whether or not I'm compatible with their organization and they're going to spend 8 to 10 hours a day with me in 1 hour? And they've made that decision already? They haven't done any reference checks. They don't know whether I've been blowing smoke or other things during that last hour. That shows me how they make decisions. If you went on a date, and at the end of the date, Sarah, the guy says, will you marry me? You're asking yourself, why is he asking me now? I don't know anything about him. I've only been with him for a couple hours.
Trying to find a way to slip out the back door, huh?
Yeah. But you got to ask yourself, why are they asking those questions? You need to get to that point, and I'd always train my recruiters this way, and I'm talking to potential employees now. If someone says, will you marry me, and you say, I don't know, or let me think about it, you're not ready to ask. So if an employer makes you a job offer, and you don't have all the answers to your questions, and they don't have all the answers to their questions, and here's the more important part, to an employer who doesn't have all the answers to their question should never make a job offer, because that's illegal. There's legal issues involved. You never ask somebody to marry you if you don't know what the answer is going to be. You don't take a chance. It's not a game. You know, it's like flipping a coin, yes or no, will you marry me? You need to know what the employee needs. You need to know their salary requirements. You need to know all the personal aspects of it that are not illegal. That has to do with what are the questions that I can answer for you. And they may have questions about vacation. They may have questions about this or that. And we're going to digress just a second to go back to some questions that an employer may ask an employee that may be questionable. Not illegal, but questionable. That may have a lot to do with are you comfortable working in that environment? And that is, for those of us that are more seasoned employees, meaning older, how many more years do you plan on working, Mark? That question is not illegal. But you know why they're asking. And depending upon who's asking the question, how would you respond? So what I encourage potential employees to look at them in the eye and say, why do you ask? Why do you ask? Not, why do you ask? But why do you ask? Is there a reason that this is critical to this decision-making process? And people have been trained in the gameship of interviewing us as, well, I think that question is totally irresponsible or illegal. And you have to be confrontational about it. They may have a legitimate reason.
Well, those questions normally get back to what they're afraid of, right?
In many cases. In many cases.
Just like on a date, right?
Just like on a date. But here's a great example of a question that people are asked that is legitimate, can be legitimate. But if you ask it in the right, respond in the right way, you can get the answer to your question. Mark, are you capable of working overtime or on the weekends? Now, what would some people say? They're trying to find out if you have children. And they don't like to hire women with children because, they take time away from work, So some people would see that as being illegal because they're trying to find that out. If you ask the question, why do you ask? The answer could very well be, well, as you know, our business is seasonal. And we have certain times of the year where our customers, we're shipping 24/7 and we're running 3 shifts and we're distributing, and there are occasions that we would need people to come in on the weekends to handle, and we could work that out. So we have total coverage during our peak periods. That's a legitimate answer. That's a legitimate answer. Yeah. Oh, sure. Not every weekend necessarily, but when we have for our business sake, you're darn tootin', I'll make myself available.
It's a legitimate answer, but it's not an answer you would have gotten unless you asked the question.
Exactly. If you're not comfortable with why they're asking the question, ask them. Why do you ask? It's not wrong. Well, wow, they think you're being confrontational. Well, there's a tone in your voice and everything else. But you're asking the question because you need to get that answer to your, I'm not working every weekend. I'm not working odd shifts. I'm not, is this, am I going to be working second shift is this indefinite, or do you rotate shifts? Because rotating shifts might be more compatible with one's lifestyle, or working the second shift may be more compatible with their lifestyle. But you got to ask those questions. Just like you would ask questions about people and their lifestyles, what they enjoy doing. What if the person is really involved in sports? And during the Olympics, you're not going to see them because they're going to be, you want to do your other things and they want to do their other. Are you compatible enough with each other that you're allowing them to do their own thing? These are the things you need to find out as you're dating, and you need to put yourself in those kind of scenarios. You need to ask the kinds of questions during the course that says, I'm ready to say, I'll marry you. I feel comfortable enough. I've got all my questions answered. I feel compatible with you. Yes. And it's the same thing on the employer side. So
yeah, if it's a person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, hopefully, in order to make sure that is something that's going to happen, you need to know a little more than just their history.
That's right.
You need to know some of their behavioral and some of their dreams, some of their What do they want? What do they want to do in life? Yeah.
Well, before I joined Heartland Habitat, I was in transition. Very much like other people that may be watching this or will be watching this. I had people say to me, "Send me your resume." I said, "No." They go, "What? What do you mean by that?" I go, 35 years of business experience, you can't put in two pages. If you want to get together and talk, I'd love to talk to you about it." And one of the lessons I learned is a question that helped me make certain decisions. Give me your definition of success. You ask a person in the courtship process, what is your definition of success? And they say, I want a home in Mission Hills, I want to drive a Mercedes, I want to, have club level seats at the Chiefs game. And it's like, whoa, that's not my definition of success. And as I've talked to a number of people when I was in transition, and I'd ask them that question. First question I ask them, what's your definition of success? If they said money, I wasn't interested. Because I know in many cases that driving factor can cause people to make poor decisions that affect different people in different ways. And it's like if you were to ask in an interview to the boss or to the person interviewing you, what is your definition of success? It would be interesting to hear their answer, because that would tell you a lot about their values. What's important to them in their life? What's your definition of success? Raising a family, watching my kids grow, and having a safe and healthy life. Wow, I'm compatible with them. Just little questions like that, as you're in an interview and you're wanting to know about the person that you're going to be spending the majority of your life with. I think that's a legitimate question. So it's, there's no standard questions that you should ask, but you need to get all your questions answered is the bottom line.
And you need to ask questions, because I know a lot of times nothing scares a hiring manager more than when they say, "Do you have any questions?" and you say, "Nope, I'm good."
Well, I know everything there is. It's like you want to show interest in another person, and you want them to show interest in you. To the employer, they don't know anything about you except what you sent them in this document, okay? Unless somebody was introduced to them. Unless Hector said to Sarah, "Hey, I've known Mark for a number of years. He's somebody you ought to talk to. He's really interested in what you're interested in." And next thing you know, when I come in to interview, Sarah goes, "Oh, are you going to the Hall & Oates concert on September 8th? I really liked them too. I remember when they were here, blah, blah, blah." And that shows that we've got some compatibility, okay, at least initially. And so those kind of things can be very, very valuable. It's all about relationships. And it's not a game. Will you marry me? Yes. If there's a hesitation, you shouldn't have asked.
Yep. You've had the date.
Yeah.
Now you send flowers.
Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Well, depends on if the girl likes flowers.
That's
flowers,
right.
right?
That's right.
And hopefully you ask that question in the date.
If she's sitting there talking about her weight during the dinner, and she's eating a salad, which is what happens most of the time anyway, then the last thing you want to do is send her chocolates, okay?
Yeah. Do you send flowers after an interview?
There are other things you can do. Thank you. Thank you for your time. A simple email. Simple email. Not, "I'm very interested in this opportunity to blah, 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 blah." It sounds so trite. People just, "Thanks for your time." If somebody sent me, I've done some one-on-one career counseling on my own time, and just to help people out, and nothing feels better than the next day, "Mark, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it." That's all I need. Thank you. And in today's world, it's so much easier than it was, because then you'd have to send a letter, and somebody'd have to process the letter. and then it would be distributed, and you may not get that for a number. Now you can do it instantaneously. The last thing you want to do, though, is go in your car on your iPhone and go, "Thank you for the interview," and it's been 3 minutes. Sounds a little bit fake, but it is. It's the kind of thing. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I look forward to our next visit. I look forward to our next visit. You should know at the end of the interview what the next step is. Ask.
Okay, you brought the word fake. So now you're going to bring sincerity into this?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It isn't a game. If you, again, go back to treating the interview and the job process like you would a courtship. There are going to be people that will send flowers because they think they should, or they like you and you didn't like them, and you get flowers and you go, "Oh, jeez." But you didn't shut it off that night. You didn't turn it off. So there's a glimmer of hope that you're still interested in him. Maybe not the case. You need to be very honest with people in that process. You're in the end of the interview. You feel comfortable with this. What's our next step? Ask.
But honesty has to be in there.
Oh.
Because the minute that you start being dishonest in any way, you're now destroying the future of that relationship.
Oh, sure. You're building a relationship. You've just tried to build a relationship, a long-term relationship in an hour. Don't destroy it by doing something really stupid because some book or some article on the internet tells you should. You go with your gut feel. You go with the way you would feel as if you, again, all I want people to do here, I don't have the answers to all this stuff. All I want people to do is think about the job search differently. I want them to think about this more as a life-changing event than a game that will bring in income. It's how comfortable you are with your life. Many people have problems in their personal life because they have problems in their professional life. That's where they spend the most of their time with. They come home all charged up. Who takes the blunt? Who takes the brunt of the? That's why happy hour. You got to stop off at the bar so you don't kick the dog and yell at your wife and kids. So that's why happy hour was invented, because people don't like their jobs. But you go to the next phase and you go, what is the next step? What are we going to do next? Are we going to get together? Or who else am I going to get a chance to meet? And ask questions like that in a very nice way. I mean, you developed a relationship, hopefully, in the first hour of the interview, if there's a 1 hour, and you're talking to them as if you were on a date with them. Don't talk to them like you're a private going through boot camp. They're not the drill instructor. They're not the dominant one, and you're not the submissive one. You're an equal partner in this thing. And that's what I want people to really think about when they go do this. They're an equal partner. They're not the submissive one.
Let's say that the employer, the other person,
yes,
is not being totally honest. You get into the relationship. You find out it's not what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You leave.
Mm-hmm.
Some people go back to that relationship.
Oh, sure they do. Oh, sure they do. There are people that that are in failed marriages that go right back to marrying the same kind of person that they just divorced.
So do you leave an employer and then go back to an employer if you weren't happy there to begin with?
I won't mention any employers locally, but I can tell you some people that I've known. They leave an employer that lays people off all the time, and then they go to work for another company that lays people off all the time. Just slap me in the face a bit more. And people do that. You can't change human behavior, but I will say, if you're an employer, you've got to look at their background too, as much as they're looking at you. I mean, we've talked. I tend to talk more on the employee side, but employer needs to take a look at their potential employee as well. What if they're not compatible with them? They need to tell them.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things I hear all the time is people say, I don't know why I didn't get the job. I met all of the qualifications. But just because you have brown hair and blue eyes doesn't mean you're a good match if you don't have the right values.
That's correct.
So employees or job searchers can't take it personally.
Well, they
Just
do
two
because they've been
people.
taught to. They've been taught. If you have these qualifications, we'll hire you. They've been taught about the game. If you play by the rules, you'll win. But we all know that in the real world, that you don't just play by the rules and win. You got to do some things to adjust and problem solve and change and adapt, etc., in order to be successful. But the way people are being trained, and employers are doing this, many of them are doing the same thing. Who is evaluating the talent? I have to go back to that. Who's evaluating your talent? Is it somebody that's looking at a list? You know, they get your resume and they scan it in and they pick out select words. And if you get caught for the Price is Right, you know, you get to come down and play Plinko, you know, because you have the right words on your resume. And people play games to put the right words on their resume. I don't want to play that. I don't want to play that game. And again, from an employer standpoint, employers have got to start looking ahead at the supply and demand issues and the demographic shifts that are going on, that they are going to have to start looking at themselves as an employer of choice. Not only their work environment, but how they appreciate and reward their employees, but how you treat people in the community. Because the word is out on certain companies in this town, and they can't understand why they can't attract quality talent. Oh, so they can hire people. I used to have hiring managers when I first got involved that would say, I want to see more candidates. I would screen candidates for them because I was experienced. I would screen them. I would send them 3 to 5 candidates. I want to see more people. Okay, what do you want to see? Tell me what you want to see. I just need to see more people. I said, okay, fine. I've got a bus. I'm going down to 12th and Troost, and I will pick up a lot of people, and I'll bring them back for you to interview. And they go, well, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I says, then tell me what you're talking about. Many employers look at it that way. It's a meat market. And then you've got to ask the employers to take a look at this too. How serious are you about this relationship surviving? So those are the kind of things from the employer standpoint. It's not just the employee, but the employers are out there talking about how to play the game. But yet they're not playing the game. So I get a little frustrated, sorry.
Well, we just hope you're not frustrated with us.
Oh, no.
And
I think I will just say this. I had been, back to 2009 when New Landings first came out, I did this. And we had a group, and one of the things I was fortunate to be able to ask them, I said, you know, get off your rear end, stop looking at the computer and get out and do something for somebody else. And we had 35 volunteers come out and work on one of our Habitat homes because they saw great value in giving back while they themselves were looking. And it was a wonderful thing that New Landings did. And obviously I've been supportive ever since. So.
well, we thank you for being here today.
Oh, my honor.
And hope this is a long-term relationship.
Oh, let's see.
And
at least you didn't tell me that it's over today.
What's the next step?
Yeah.
well, the next step is if somebody wanted to contact you
Yes.
for advice or for speaking, where could they reach you?
Best way is on my personal cell phone, 913-302-7892, or through my Habitat email address, mark@heartlandhabitat.org. I read it 24/7. I've got access. And as I've told you before, I do respond to every single email. I learned that from Mr. K. I learned that from Mr. Kaufman. Everybody that ever wrote him a letter complaining about the Royals or positive, he responded to. And that's been a lesson that I've kept with me my whole life. So that's the best way to reach me.
Thank you.
You can hear more advice and information from Mark and other guests by listening to past chats on our website at www.newlandingsjobchat.org or just search for Job Chat on YouTube. Thank you again, Mark.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And until next time, may your days be full of health, happiness, and success.